Hi, I'm Steve Saylor, an accessibility consultant in the video game industry, and here's a deep dive into the settings menu of Forspoken for the PS5. So how this works for this video is that I will be taking a fresh look at the settings menu and talking about the potential accessibility that might be there, both pros and cons. So I'm going to take a look at the settings. Now, I will say that the font size for the menu so far is pretty small, so I'm going to have to actually turn on magnifier just so I can be able to see. For those wondering, I am blind. I do have a visual disability. You can be able to take a look at the video up top or click the link in the description down below to see exactly what I see when I'm playing video games. All right, so we've got aim assist. You can be able to turn that on or off. I'm going to keep that on because that's generally how I can be able to play games because then I don't have to worry about having to be able to be very precise with aiming, which is great. Spell switching slowdown. So that actually, it has the default, which is slow. You can set it off to none or full pause. This is good because then it kind of gives those with cognitive disabilities the ability to be able to potentially, like if they need that extra time, they can be able to set it to full pause instead of having it slow down. But having the option to be able to turn it off completely is also a good one as well. Damage received, you can be able to set default increase. So this looks like it's is tied to, I guess, the difficulty setting, or at least this would be considered the difficulty setting. So you can either have a significantly decreased damage received, decreased default, increased, or significantly increased. So that's pretty good, and hopefully you can be able to. You should be able to adjust that at any given time throughout the game. Stamina recovery speed. All right, actually, there we go. Stamina recovery speed. We're looking at fast, very fast. This could be good because then that basically helps if you use stamina quite a bit. I mean, again, I don't know what's actually how the game is played as of yet, but this potentially could be good. Automatically use healing items. I like to be able to keep that on because sometimes I just forget to be able to turn on to heal myself, and so having the healing items definitely can help in that regard. Enemy knockdown time default extended. That's interesting. I have not seen actually a game do this before. Reason why is having the ability to have an enemy that's knocked down, giving you the extra time if you're further away in combat or if you're doing like any range attacks, and having to be able to like have an extended time so that you can be able to go in and do a proper like critical attack. This is my assumption on based on this. Having that extended can be good, especially for those either with motor disabilities or just have basically eye-hand coordination is not as fast. Being able to have that extra time is great. So I love that they're adding that. Automatic support spell switching. Either turn that on or off. Doesn't give any description of what that. Oh, here we go. When this is set to on, you'll automatically switch to support spells that aren't currently subject to cooldown. Okay, that's good. It's kind of like basically automatic weapon switching is kind of how I see it, which is good. And then there's auto evasion. So basically, is that like an automatic dodge? Is what I'm wondering. Nope. When this is on, you'll automatically evade using magic parkour when attacked. That's good. It's interesting that that they have that here. I've not seen a game actually have an automatic dodge, so I'd be curious to see how that plays. All right, so that is the gameplay balance menu. So let's take a look at the controls menu. So basically, you can config confirm. Wait. You can set the confirm button. Oh, that's interesting. You can set X or circle to basically have as the confirm button. There's not really any, as far as I could tell, there's not really any accessibility benefit there, other than if you're just used to one or the other. But that's kind of good that I actually have that there. We have the left-right stick sensitivity. That's always good because then you can be able to adjust like stuff like dead zones or like if you need extra time for hitting the left and right thumbstick. That's good for that. Same with horizontal camera move and vertical movement. We got the rotation speed. Automatic camera adjustment. You can either set it during parkour only, always, or off. So I'm assuming that basically the camera will automatically adjust kind of, I guess, too similar to like when you lock onto an enemy, it'll sort of automatically put the camera facing directly to that enemy. So I'm gonna keep it on during parkour only, just to kind of see what it's like, because sometimes the camera can get in the way in certain situations. Camera shake, we're gonna turn that off. They have that on, as an option. Wireless controller vibration, I have that set to on, but looks like you'll be able to set it to like just off, which you can't adjust the intensity. Oh, actually, you can adjust the intensity. Trigger, oh, this is for the trigger effects. Trigger effect intensity, you can either set it to off, low, or high. I've heard that the trigger effects, actually, people have been, according to the reviews, people have been turning that off. So I'm going to keep that off as well. So that looks like that is the controls menu. Wait, can you be able to actually adjust? It doesn't look like you can actually be able. Oh, wireless controller settings. Maybe that's there to be able to like do any remapping. So take a look at display settings. Text English, voice English. You can basically set image quality settings. You can do quality focus, ray tracing, or performance focused. We'll keep quality focus because I always like to see the cool stuff. Brightness, gamma settings. That's default. Motion blur. We're gonna keep that off. And then the color filter options. Oh, this is interesting. So let's take a look at the colorblind settings. So you can either set it to grayscale, which definitely helps for those who are completely colorblind. You can be able to set it to grayscale, and that will hopefully the game kind of helps with that, and that nothing is reliant on color to be able to see the actual to see any colors. But I'm glad that it's there. So let's go back to there. So then we also have red green, which is Protanopia, and then you have green red, which is Deutanopia. And then you have blue yellow, which is Tritonopia. And it's good to be able to that shows you which colors are affected, or which colors are for each of those color blindness settings. So we're set it to off because I am not currently colorblind. But for those who are, there's the option for you there. Text, that's the text language. Oh, actually, I should probably even show you. So, okay, here we go. So if we choose grayscale as the colorblind option, actually, you know what? Oh, no, let's go back. Let's do Protanopia, which is the red-green, which is generally the most common setting that I usually turn on, because I prefer the yellow reticle sometimes, and that's usually where that kind of pops up in there. So you can actually be able to set the intensity of it. You can from basically 1, which is the full, or you can set it to like halfway, or completely off. So it's good to be able to have that sort of that filter strength in there. So for now, we're going to turn that to off. All right. So that is the display settings menu. Let's go into the sound settings. So wireless controller voice playback. Choose whether or not to have Cuff's voice play through the wireless controller speaker. I've heard mixed things about the voice acting, or at least the lines. So having the wireless controller speak the voice to you, or at least Cuff's voice to you, it might be a gimmick. It might actually potentially could be interesting for accessibility, but we'll see how that plays out. You can be able to adjust the master volume, which is good. I always like, whenever I consult with studios, I usually like to have like to suggest different volume sliders for each individual thing. That's kind of a normal and standard when for other consultants as well. So it's not just me, but we have a master volume, we have music volume, sound effect volume, voice volume, and wireless controller volume. That's good. You can be able to adjust that here. I appreciate that they have that in there, so having to be able to go to the settings of the PS5 to adjust that. So that's good that they can be able to adjust that. All right, so let's take a look at the wireless controller settings. All right, so here's where looks like you can be able to remap. Interesting. Okay, so basically, if I want to be able to attack magic, if I want to be able to adjust that, that is currently set to R2. I basically just hit X, and I can choose any button. But it looks like I think that that will affect every other. I think where would square be, or what would square be used for? Actually, so let me set that back. Oh no. Here we go. So R2. Let's see. This where does square pop up? So square is generally set to zip. So let me see if I adjust that to square. Sometimes, the reason why I'm checking this is that sometimes remapping is fine, but if you're having to be able to use every single button that's on the controller, you're technically all you're doing is just swapping the commands back. You still have to be able to hit, utilize and hit every single button that's on the controller, which is generally not the best way for accessibility. It's great to be able to offer it, of course, but it's always better to be able to have more buttons available, so then it can, those with motor disabilities can be able to set whichever button works best for them, instead of having to fully utilize controller. That's why sometimes motor disabled players will use mouse and keyboard instead of controller. So let's see. Okay, if I change this to square, does that change zip? Oh no, it actually just, yeah. So it basically just automatically swaps it. So zip is now R2 instead of square. Okay, so it is just a full-on swap. So let's change that back to R2. Can you be able to adjust the holds of this? Interesting. So it looks like actually you can be able to, what is activate magic? You can be able to charge. Oh, and change. That font size. Oh my god. Okay, or that font, like that was hard for me to see. I did not see that it was charge and change. I thought it was this. I thought it was the same word. Okay, so it doesn't look like you can be able to adjust holds or tap for any of these. It just tells you that you have to hold those. So it would be better to be able to have the be able to adjust it. And so instead of having it to just be holds, that it could also be a tap as well, or toggle. But having that option would have been great for accessibility. All right. So I think my camera's covering up the bottom here, but the last menu option is the accessibility settings. So let's take a look at what we have here. Automatic item gathering, 100% turn on. That's a turn on and a turn on. Switch this to automatically gather items from your surroundings. Yes, I love that. Especially Last of Us Part 1 and Part 2 was something I really enjoyed. That basically you just walk over an item and it'll automatically pick up for you. Great, awesome, love to see it. Automatic lock picking, you can either set to on or off. This is good because because it is considered a puzzle, having that basically be an actual on off for lockpicking. That's good that they have that. So then if there's any accessibility concerns with that, or anyone with disabilities can't pick locks in this game, you can be able to turn that off. That's good. Or turn it on. Item visibility, adjust how easy items are to spot by increasing or decreasing their visibility. So you can set to enhance visibility, or on or off. So I'm going to do enhanced visibility because that usually means a little bit of a higher contrast for items. Map icon size, you can be able to set to standard or large. Let's set large. Highlight nearby characters, set this to on to make nearby characters and enemies more visible. The thing that I wish that you could be able to do in this, because there is a little bit of extra space in this menu that is kind of really not used a lot on this right hand side. It would have been good to be able to see a preview of what these settings can change. I usually like to suggest that for developers, because being able to see what this menu setting will do allows me to determine whether or not this will actually help me, instead of having to be able to go into the game, try it out, and then having to be able to try to find that setting that is this the setting that actually adjusts it or not. And sometimes that can be a vague setting, or it could actually, okay, I know this is direct, so I need to change. So it would have been better to be able to have this as a have a preview for this, to be able to see, okay, how are the enemy nearby characters, how are they highlighted, what do they look like, instead of just sort of just setting the toggle here, or even just seeing how big are the icon size, that kind of thing. Spell switching menu display. Okay, so it looks like at least for the menu, for the spell, for the different spells, you can be set to hold and toggle. I don't think that will be the same for the controls. Potentially. Okay, let's set this to toggle. We're gonna go to the wireless controller settings. Interesting. Okay, good. So I did know. So that is change here. So instead of if this change, this used to say hold. So actually, if I go back, I can even show you. So in case it's to hold. If I go back, here we go. Yeah. So it does. Okay. So you can be able to adjust that. That's good. All right. So that toggle. Looks like I think that's probably the only one you can be able to set to toggle. Let's see what that actually changes to. So first, I'm going to change it back to hold just to see what it. Okay. So there's several there's hold for change, for cuff compass, and magic parkour, and set up camp. Okay, so let's see if I set this to toggle. What is that? Okay, so set up camp is still hold. Magic parkour is still hold. Cuff compass is still hold. But the changing, yeah, so it looks like that basically the changing of the spells for support or attack are now set to not set to hold. That's good. Magic parkour sprinting. Default, trigger by holding the left thumbstick in circle, continues until effect wears off. Toggle, trigger by holding circle or left thumbstick in circle. Use L3 to end effect early. Let's set the toggle. It's interesting, though, that you have to, like, you can't just sort of set. I don't know. This is interesting. Magic parkour sprinting. I'm wondering why it needs to hold 2 buttons instead of just what normally is the default, which is L3. Let's see what L3 is actually attached to, if it is. So it is set to run. Is R3 set to anything? R3 is set to target camera. Okay, so that's a lock-on camera. Okay. Interesting. Oops. Let's go back to the settings. I mean, I'm for myself personally, I don't know what I would choose. I would basically say probably default or default. But it'd be interesting to kind of see what that would be like. It seems as if at least if you need to stop doing magic parkour, having like the only additional thing is using L3 to end effect early. I'd have to see how it goes in gameplay. Leap soar controls default. Move towards a well while in mid-air and press left thumbstick plus circle. Semi-auto. Move toward a well using left thumbstick while performing magic parkour to leap soar automatically. So I will set that to semi-auto because yes. Sprint button. Run by using L3. Or run with circle when magic parkour is not available. Oh, okay. So you can be able to, instead of using L3 to sprint, you can be able to set it to circle. This actually is kind of good because not a lot of people have a controller that has a back pedals, which I do with the DualSense Edge, where you can actually be able to have back paddles that I usually remap to L3 and R3. But for those who use a regular controller, which you do have to push down the L3 and R3 in order for it to click, having that if you want to be able to sprint, having that switch to a face button or any other button allows that not repeat, like if you have to repeatedly press down on that button, which can be difficult for those with motor disability or those just have trouble just hitting that button because it's a harder click. And if you're having to do that every single time, being able to remap that to another button is always is good, and that it doesn't change the either or. So I think then we're going to choose either or L3 or L3 or circle. I like that. I like that. That's there. Cuff compass. Choose whether or not to enable cuff ability to guide you to your destination. We're gonna have that on. Cuff compass visibility, just the visibility of the cuff compass feature. So you can set it to on. I'm gonna set that to on as well. So we've got cuff chat frequency, adjust how often. Okay, this is where a lot of people were having issues with the chatter or the banter between Frey and Cuff. You can either adjust how often Frey and Cuff speak to one another. The minimal setting will mean that you will only hear dialogue required to advance the story. So you can basically set it to minimal, low, default, high. So we're gonna set it to default. this is the reason why. Okay, some people might complain about this, about like if they knew that this was going to be bad, why like that this is the proof right here because they added this as a menu. No. Oftentimes, for those who may actually forget, those are cognitive disabilities. Having a constant chatter or someone basically constantly talking in their head all the time for cognitive disabilities can be extremely distracting and harder to be able to focus, especially if there is chatter between in moments of combat. So having this here is not necessarily for because the dialogue is bad and you need to turn it off. It is to be able to help those with cognitive disabilities if you need to keep it low, but also if you need extra information or if you just want to be immersed in the world, or as well, this could be a benefit for blind, low vision players that it might provide vital game information that, hey, there's this thing nearby, go check this out. This actually can help those players be able to be immersed in the world, but then also be able to get that information that is needed. So I know people are complaining about it. This is something this has multiple benefits for disabilities, not just because of the annoyance factor of the chat between Frey and Cuff. Just wanted to get that out of the way. I know people are complaining about it. HUD size, let's set that to large. Been nice to be able to have that for the menu setting, but it's either here nor there. HUD position, adjust the position of the on-screen gauges displayed while playing. So you gotta set it to default or corner. Again, it'd be good to be able to see a preview of this to kind of see where that would actually be. I'm gonna set it to default because I don't know what that would look like. Battle ranking info display. Adjust whether or not to display battle grading information and how much information to display. The basic setting will show grading information only. I have no idea what that is. I'm assuming it's giving as much information as possible, so let's keep it to full. Spellcraft challenge display. Adjust whether or not to display your progress in spellcraft challenges. Sure. Attack hint display. You gotta set it to enhance visibility. Oh, just the visibility of incoming heavy attack hint markers in battle. I like that it has an enhanced visibility, so we'll set that to that. Subtitles, definitely have that on. Subtitle size, we'll have that set to large. Subtitle background, you have a semi-transparent or opaque or off. So I'm gonna set that to opaque. Speaker name display set to on. Yep, we're gonna keep that on. And units of measurement set to imperial or metric, depending on which country you are in. So that is the menu setting, or the settings menu of Forspoken for the PS5. If you have any questions about the menus or any accessibility, I will be doing an accessibility impressions or review. I have not decided as of yet. This is the first time jumping into the game. You can be able to check that out on this channel, so make sure you can be able to click the subscribe button so you can be able to see when that comes out. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. It'll really help this channel grow. And I'm looking forward to trying out this game and see whether or not the reviews are true. Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. I'm gonna try it out anyway. So thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see more menu deep dives, please let me know in the comments down below. Thanks so much. As always, I'll see you in the next video. As always, I remain obediently yours.